So, the article I'm sharing today on the blog is all about the big reason behind why you teach. So what is the overarching goal that you have for your piano students? I think this can inform all the little decisions that you make along the way, and it helps clarify, at least for me, it helps clarify all the choices I have to make. So if I have to choose something for one of my students, I take that back and say, okay, but what do I want for them long term? What is my goal for them? When they stop taking lessons from me, what do I want them to be able to do, or what do I want them to do going forward? If you can come up with this one goal for your studio, for your students, I think it can clarify things for you, and it can stop some of that overwhelm of like, oh, I have to try this, I have to try that, to try the other thing. You don't really. You have to try the things that are actually going to improve things in the way you want them in your studio. So my big overarching why, the reason why I teach and what I want from my students, is that I want them to have music in their life as a little escape, a little wonderful thing, a little hobby that they can have for their whole life to get away from the world, you know. The way I get away from the world usually is to go for a walk. I love going for a walk up in the mountains in Dublin. We weren't able to go today, which is such a shame. I was hoping to broadcast this to you live from the Dublin mountains because you could have seen the view of the city where I live. But my big goal for my students is that piano is that for them. It's their way to escape from everyday life and their little place of solitude, or their way to connect with other people. I read this book last summer by Alan Rusbridger, I think it was, called, what's it called? Oh, Play It Again, An Amateur Against the Impossible, it was called. So he was a journalist, and he spent a year, it was actually 18 months in the end, I think, documenting his attempt to learn a Chopin ballad. And he was an amateur pianist, but he practiced his 30 minutes every morning, and he talks about the clarifying effect it had on the rest of his day, that it was like the equivalent of other people getting up and doing their workout or whatever. And that's what I want for my students. So whenever I have a choice to make, I bring it back to what is the why of why I'm teaching, of why I want what I want them to do going forward. So I'd like you to think about that and take a read through today's article to think about what it is that you want for your students. If you don't want them to perform in Carnegie Hall and that's not your goal for them, then maybe you don't need to force them to learn whatever classical repertoire that they don't want to look at. So yeah, think about that, and I think it'll help you to clarify all the little decisions you need to make for your studio. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Talk to you soon.